and around the United States.
Those that are just tuning in, you listen to a special presentation. Rabbi Shia Hecht is with us from the distinguished family of fourth-generation American rabbis. He's written 2 books. One is called, his latest is called Whatever It Takes, Restoring Hope. First book is Confessions of a Jewish Cult Buster. It's published by Mosaic Press. And we are going to give some of our listeners a chance to win a free copy of the book. We're going to give away 10 copies of the book. You have to let us know which book you like. Just send me an email to zev@talklinenetwork.com. Please put Rabbi Shia Hecht in the byline. Give us your name, address, and zip code, and tell us which book you want, and we're going to try to accommodate you with that. Again, that's zev@talklinenetwork.com. Good time, Rabbi
Okay.
Shia Hecht, for us to define exactly what makes an organization or a group a cult.
Let me stop it this way. A lot was said last week, on your program. 3 hours of good information, talked on each other, weren't listening to each other necessarily. Of course, I only talk about myself. I'm sure the other people listened very, very well to what I had to say. But my friends called and said, listen, Shia, it was very, very important what you did, but I'm not sure people really got the point. I said, you know what? If that's the case, Zev, Talkline Communication is definitely a vehicle to get my message across. And I went out and I discussed it with my board, my executive board in the organization, and we decided to buy time. First of all, let me start saying thank you to those people this week who called me to give me support, to give me chizuk, to compliment me on the work that I do in general, and particularly in this case. By the way, the pressure that we had, and I say the pressure that we had that I should not go on that radio program was unbelievable. I was called, my brothers were called who work for the organization. I don't carry, it's true, I'm called the chairman of the organization, but they carry the leadership to this organization. By the way, it's an organization that through the year, we service thousands of families, literally thousands of families. First on a release time program, Greater New York, we take kids out of public schools 1 hour a week and teach them Torah. It's through our camps, through our yeshivas. We have Baal Tshuva Yeshiva for young men. We have a Baal Tshuva Yeshiva for young women. We give out tamichas. We give out food packages. We have a food pantry. There's a tremendous amount what we do. It's a tremendous amount of counseling, toys for hospitalized children. There's a tremendous amount of work. The pressure that we got was really very interesting. But I always ask whoever called me, I asked them the following question. You're calling me and telling me not to get involved. Do you know what a cult is? They said, no. Do you know the work that I do in cults? Many of them said, yes. I said, well, do I know what, up until now, do I know what I'm doing? Yes, Rabbi Hecht, I must say, yes, you know what you're doing. You have a very good record. Well, I say, if I have a good record, trust me for this one as well. Oh, but don't forget, you have to make sure that you have the facts correct. You better, people can be telling you things, you can misunderstand something. People are telling you things that are wrong. I said, okay, verlass mir, as they say in Yiddish. You can rely on me that I will double check my facts. And in a few minutes, I will tell you where I got my information from. And by the way, Zev, I'm not even talking to you. There's one man I'm talking to that lives in Great Neck. I'm talking to him. And I'm talking to some of the Talmidim that I know are listening to say to them, listen, perhaps we should talk one-on-one. What happened is after the program, there are 2 telephone calls that I got that really unbelievably, gave me a tremendous insight. Sunday morning, I get a call from a guy. He says, Rabbi Hecht, I have to be anonymous. I said, fine, not a problem. With me, you can call me anonymous. But I want to tell you something. I work for law enforcement. That's why I cannot tell you what my name is. I have been trained in detecting voices when I listen to people, if they're telling the truth, there's a lot of different techniques in this. I've been trained in that area. And I want to tell you something. I listened to the whole program and I listened to the parents that called. There was one parent that called that spoke about the greatness of this group, and she was lying. she was lying, and she has a lot of pain, and she doesn't have such a good relationship with her children. I knew exactly who he was talking about because I know the lady's name and know who she is and know quite a bit about that family. So that's the first thing. It gave me a lot of chizuk. But that's not the call I want to talk about tonight. The call I want to talk about tonight is Monday morning. I got the call that I waited for. And I'm going to get more calls like this. The voice was soft. The voice was a little bit afraid. The voice was a voice of truth, purity, and perhaps, I don't want to say on a spiritual level, but there was a holiness to the voice. The voice started off, is this Rabbi Hecht? I said, yes, it is. Is this the Rabbi Hecht that was on the radio about the yeshiva? I said, yes. Well, I need your help. And you see, my best friend, I ran away from the group, but my best friend is still there. Can you help me get my best friend out of that cult? I said, well, we have to see. We have to talk, and perhaps we have to get together. Of course, the person remained anonymous, and is still anonymous till, although we spoke another 5 times and gave me some fascinating information about the things that go on. Because one of the things the person said to me is, everything you said about the cult, the brown houses, the sign-in, the all-in letters, the attitudes of how the rabbi treats and talks to some of his students, it's all correct. I've been there. I know you're there, and I want to get my friend out. Now, my dear friends, one of the big accusations against Shia Hecht was, you never went down to the yeshiva. You know, it's like saying is to the judge, how can you judge if this thing happened if you didn't go down to the place that's there? You know, I have to go down to the place of the crime? I know I don't. I don't have to, but I do have to listen to witnesses. And witnesses are very, very important. And Torah says, Al pi shnayim eidim or shlosh eidim. Notice one thing last week. No one answered me, how many people do I need to hear from to know there's something wrong? Because it would seem to me, if one kid came back from the yeshiva, any yeshiva, and said, the Rebbe did something wrong to me, the Rebbe molested me. What do I have to say? No, the other 29 kids in the class say the Rebbe is perfect? Oh, the victim we're not going to listen to. Now, we're going to listen to the other 29 kids. What does that have to do with 29 kids? Let me tell you something. There was one thing that was not spoken about last week. We spoke about, they spoke to the students, meaning the boys, the Bachrim. They spoke to the families. But what about the women involved in this group? Did anyone speak to the women? Because this week alone, I spoke already to 3 women who told me that, and they said, I ran away from that place. 2 women were able to go down, spoke about details. So, that's it. And by the way, I spoke more than double to men, more than double. So if you're doing your math, okay, so we have 3, more than double men. I basically spoke to more than 12 parents. 12 parents. 1 parent would have been enough. 2 parents were enough. 12 parents I spoke to. And here's the clincher. I spoke to 5 local Rabbanim. 5 local Rabbanim from Great Neck. Okay? Not one had a nice thing to say about the yeshiva or about the rabbi. And here's a clincher, you know. I have now, remember something. I'm not, when I say I, what I said up until now, I meant I myself did, okay? But there are other people involved in this investigation. There are 2 Rosh Yeshivas, Choshev Rosh Yeshivas, who have hundreds and hundreds of Talmidim. Number 1, 14 months this investigation is going on. And by the way, should I tell you how many people we called who didn't want to speak to me? They're afraid. The biggest joke was, we called a Rav this week, who said, I want to talk to you, but I have no time now until after Tishrei, after Simchas Torah. I said, excuse me? What? It wasn't me. One of my people called this rabbi. And he says, no, he has no time to speak about it until after. You're talking about a potential of a fire burning. a potential of neshamas who need to be brought back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu before Rosh Hashanah, before Yom Kippur, and you're telling me you have no time to speak? You call yourself a Rav? Okay. A Rav, a Choshev Rav in Queens, a Svardish Rav. Again, I wasn't given permission to say his name. A girl, 2 years ago, a girl in the community called him up and said, they're ready me a shidduch from Great Neck, from this yeshiva. He said to her, do not consider it. The place is a cult. Okay? So these are not my words. These are words of Choshev Rabbanim. Oh, you say you have an endorsement from many people? Well, let me tell you about those people who endorse you. Because, you see, one of the Rabbanim that they went to speak to called me into his office. And after speaking to me for 2 hours, he said to me, Rabbi Hecht, I'm not quoting him exactly, I'm paraphrasing. Rabbi Hecht, based on what you say, based on what you know, based on your experience, you have to continue your work. You have to expose these people. He didn't say the word expose, I'm using the word expose. You have to continue your work. So, by the way, I just want to say something else, because of the panel last week, there was a parent called, and I felt for the parent. They were attacked by somebody on the panel. Guys, listen, the parents are victims like the children are victims. I'm going to say that again. The parents are victims like the children are victims. Don't tell me that my mother is happy, my father is happy. So what? Your father and mother are victims just like you're a victim. And by the way, I know that bacher who's going to call me this week. And by the way, I will make sure you will be anonymous. I didn't mention any names till now, did I? Anyone who came to me, you don't even know what the story is. You don't know who they are, where they're living. And by the way, I met people. I got into my car and drove hundreds of miles to meet some of the former students of this place. And again, it's horrifying, some of the things that I've heard. So when you speak to people who listen to both sides and they say to me to go ahead, when you speak to parents that basically say, God, when you speak to former students and you speak to young ladies who are involved in that group and say to me, you know, Rabbi, thank you for what we're doing.
Robert, we're getting interference.
interference.
Let me just get our interference going over here. And those that are just tuning in, you're listening to a special broadcast with Rabbi Shia Hecht of the National Committee for the Furtherance of Jewish Education. And we're looking at his books, including Whatever It Takes. And you can send us an email if you want to get a copy of, we're giving out some free copies of the books. So send us an email to zev@talklinenetwork.com, zev@talklinenetwork.com. Please put in the byline that you want to get the copy of the book. You tell us which book you want, either Confessions of a Jewish Cult Buster or Whatever It Takes. Again, that's zev@talklinenetwork.com. You must include, I'm getting emails, you must include your name, address, and zip code as part of it. Okay? So please include that. Okay? It's zev@talklinenetwork.com. Rabbi Shia Hecht is our guest, and we are trying to we encourage your emails, zev@talklinenetwork.com. Coming up later on tonight, we'll speak to Rabbi Mordechai Kamenetsky. Okay. Rabbi Shia Hecht is talking about his experiences, and over the years, he's written some fascinating stories, and we're dealing with that right now. Okay, let's see where we're getting the source. We're getting this coming in.
I'd like to give myself a plug. If you'd like to buy the book.
Again, our email is zev@talklinenetwork.com, zev@talklinenetwork.com. And that's certainly a good place. If you have any questions that you want us to address, that's a good place for you to go and get that done. Okay, let's turn back to Rabbi Shia Hecht.
Okay, I just want to, if we can plug the book. If you can't get it in your local Jewish bookstore, by the way, there's some adult material in the second book. I want to tell you right now, so you may not want your children to read it, but it's something that families, I think, need to know. Some of the things that are going on and some of the people that are helping and fight some of these situations. But you can contact our office. I work for an NCFJE, National Committee for Furthering Jewish Education. Their address is at 824 Eastern Parkway. Their telephone number for the general number is 718-735-0200. That's 0200. If you want to contact me directly, you can call me at 718-735-0223. You can leave a message, or you can speak to my assistant, and I will get back to you from there. Of course, I'll have the pleasure of talking to you, or else I'll get back to you with the proper in a reasonable time. My dear
And
friend,
by the way, we don't have anybody from the yeshiva tonight. We had last week, so you're telling people about your findings. Obviously, there are people who support the yeshiva. There are people who feel like you that the yeshiva is a cult, but I'd like you to address, and people said after last week's show, Rabbi Hecht, is that sometimes you have a charismatic yeshiva, not only this one you're referring to in Great Neck, but you have Rebbeim that say, listen, the kids that are coming in come from not such a religious background, they become more religious in the yeshiva. They tell the kids, to dissociate themselves from the parents. So what differentiates this particular group from other groups that may do similar things? What makes one a group and what makes man a cult? A lot of people ask me that question, so I address it to you.
Yeah. No, a young lady last week, when I said I don't want to use the word cult, she said, listen, come on, Rabbi, give us a break. We're smart enough to understand the word cult. I mean, some of us are sophisticated and very well read. And in fact, she's right. But within my community, I'm not sure I can say that for all the people. Some of our people, English is not the first language. They don't understand the word cult. The Rabbanim, when I spoke to, they said, what is the word cult? But let me just say the following. One of the big differences, and those associated with this yeshiva will appreciate what I'm saying more than others, and that is, if your Rebbe is telling you to lie to your parents or to lie to the world out there, then there's a problem. There's a problem. Listen, a sign-in letter, all-in letter, a sign, that's nothing new. Hasidim used to do that, like Ksav Hiskashrus. Tell everybody, yes, that's what we do. Oh, you don't like it? Don't send your son here. You don't like it? You can leave the yeshiva. These are things you don't have to, what do you have to lie about it? You can say, hey, yes, we have the brown houses. We drink a lot of mashka. We drink a lot of whiskey. You know what? That's not the first one. Listen, any Russian Chassidus will tell you they drink a lot of whiskey. So, but when you start telling your followers that they should lie to their families or they should lie to the public, I have a problem. So the answer is as follows. Yes, what you said. A charismatic leader, that's a good thing. Hashem bless you with charisma. Hashem bless you with the ability to teach, to inspire, to uplift. And by the way, most cult leaders are great guys, brilliant minds. Listen, how did they get to where they get to? They wouldn't be able to get there if they didn't have all those qualities.
Yes, listen, when you hear people come back from Israel, the term religious, parents say, oh, they belong to a Hasidic group, they belong to a cult, they became a Baal Tshuva, they're a cult. People toss around that word, as you probably know, Rabbi Shea.
Right. That's why I want to stay away from that word. But and listen, I've been accused of being in a cult, being a cult leader, et cetera, and that's why I stay away from the word. But the point's like this: when you have a yeshiva of 30 bachrim and 15 sets of parents are complaining, that's a little bit of a problem. I run a Baal Tshuva yeshiva. I know what the percentage is of how many people will complain to say about that. So when you have half of your student body, or they're told clearly to isolate themselves from their family of origin, which is a red flag if you've seen one, because that's the first thing what cults do. They will separate you, they will divide you from your family of origin. And of course, the next thing is this new group becomes your family. And that's why there is a certain Chaverschaft, that there's certain Achdus, there's a certain spirit of unity within the yeshiva, which is great. But again, you have to measure it to the backdrop. You have to measure it to the people. You have to measure it to the philosophy. You can't just say, well, there's a lot of Achdus in yeshiva, because even something like Achdus can be a negative. So yes, you have positive things. We know the fascinating thing, we see that Torah itself. Torah is a Sam, and it could be a Sam HaChaim, or it can be or something else. It's a potency, it's a strength, it's an energy, it's a vitality. It's really something. But that doesn't still make it good. It doesn't make it holy automatically. You still have to make sure that it's holy. And remember something, to make something pure, you need it fully pure. But to contaminate something, all I need is one little drop of ink and all the water turns purple. I just need a little one drop of poison and the whole thing is dangerous. We're just looking for that little bit. Stop telling me about the 95%. Stop telling me about the 90%. Stop telling me about the 99%. Let's talk about the 1%. And if you don't know anything about the 1%, then you don't have to talk about it. But I think I do know about the 1%. Based on our truth be told, I'm saying everything based on what people told me. But why would they come and tell me? And why would I be telling it to you? I've met these people, and if you count the people that only I have met, we're talking about over 20 people. And now when you read about the Rosh Hashivas, the two Rosh Hashivas that spoke, and there's a business person that spoke to many, many people, and a young lady that's helping us now as well. So you're talking about 5 investigators. They all come back with the same information. We have been speaking to many, many people who are, again, in the yeshiva, out of the yeshiva, was part of the yeshiva, was not part of the yeshiva, left happy, left unhappy, parents, children, etc. You know what? I think we should be concerned. Now, by the way, those who told me, you're breaking a yeshiva, which is a good yeshiva. I'm not breaking anything. This yeshiva was over before I even got involved. It's over. If Rabbanim in Queens are telling girls, do not date the guy because it's a cult. If 5 Rabbanim, local Rabbanim, have nothing good to say about the rabbi and the yeshiva, if the rabbi that they went to the bezin that they went to, tells me, Shia, do your job. If people are basically talking about this behind the back, the yeshiva is falling apart on their own. They want to blame Shia, blame Shia. If you want to make me famous, make me famous. I'm very, very happy. It's very, very good. In fact, this whole tumult went public not because of me, and not because of the two Rosh Hashivas, and not because of the businessman that's involved, and not because of the young lady that's working with us as a investigator. This came because somebody thought it would be a great idea to put it in yeshiva world. Go ahead, let the whole yeshiva world know. Now you want to know why people are talking against you? Oh, maybe you overstepped your bound. Maybe you did something that you shouldn't have done. Oh, and by the way, calling my superiors within Lubavitch, give me a break. Give me a break. I'm the expert. That's what they say. Never mind what I say. That's what they say. And to prove, they call me. I say, listen, do you have an expertise? No. No, Shia, you don't understand. We're behind. We know that you know what you're doing. But do it a little bit different. Do it a little bit different. You have a better plan for me? What better plan is me? You mean I should allow someone to basically tarnish my reputation, attack me in front of my people, attack me in front of my family, and I should sit quietly? No. My father didn't have a lemachel for a son. I'm really sorry. You know, both my parents taught me you have to be outspoken. And those who know Rabbi J.J. Hecht, Rabbi Yaakov Yehuda Hecht, Olav Shalom, and his Zechron Livracha, know that one of the things my father thrived on, and boy, as one of my family members said to me the other day, your father would be so proud of you. The whole world is against you, but you know you're fighting for the rights. And you know where you're fighting it for justice. And you're fighting for Torah. And you're fighting for halacha. And you're fighting for das Torah. Which brings it to another thing. Rabbi Osher Balanson wrote a letter clearly to the Talmidim and said, get away from the yeshiva. The Rabbi Balanson was this rabbi's rabbi. And he writes, the first half of the letter, he addresses the rabbi. He says, you have to have a karas hatov. I built you, I made you, I helped you, I taught you. I'm telling you, get out of the chinuch. It's not for you. You're a great businessman. Stay in business. Well, at least when you look on some of the lawsuits that are going on, there's a lot of money that the man is dealing with. Hey, you know what? You want to stay in business? Stay in business. There's no reason for you to be in chinuch. You want to give a sheer You want to give a shir once a week in your shul? Excellent. But for you to take students and take them away from their families and create your own family, and then tell these people to do things that they eventually, many of these people ran away from you. You know who they are very, very well. You know their names, you know their addresses, you know what the people are. My dear friends, it really boils down to this. Shia Hecht is not the issue. I'm not defending myself. It's not about this. This is about victims that are part of a yeshiva. Parents that are who are victims that are part of this yeshiva. And I will tell you, as I told to my colleague, my elder colleague, and somebody who I respect very, very much within the system, I said, these people, this father is going to come back to you at a date and say, let me get a hold of Rabbi Hecht. I want to thank him for getting my kid out of that yeshiva. I want to thank him for bravely speaking up. No one had the guts to do it because this rabbi, who's a rabbi in Great Neck, says he has no time until after Simchas Torah. He has no time to save Jewish children.
Is it possible
my
he doesn't
dear friend.
believe? Is it possible he doesn't believe that these children are at risk? You are taking on the cause, but there are supporters of the yeshiva who say the yeshiva is doing a good job. Maybe he's one of those that likes what the yeshiva is doing. There are some that do like what the yeshiva is doing.
Right. So he should have said, listen, guys, you guys are wrong. Stop it. I had nothing to talk about. The man is righteous. The man is good. Please leave the yeshiva alone. You guys don't know what you're doing. He could have said that. He didn't say that. You know, one of the 5 Rabbanim that I spoke to, the local Rabbanim, he says, I can't answer your question. I said, what? Just say yes or no on the particular question that I asked him. He says, I can't answer your question. I said, Rabbi, I'm going to infer from this that you mean that it's whatever the answer. He says, I can't help you. I can't tell you. But it's not that the person went and said, listen, let me sing the guy's praises. And again, these are people who were in the yeshiva, visited the yeshiva, know who the rabbis are, met the children, the students from there, know what the story is. And now you're telling me that I don't have a right to make a statement based on the testimony of 5 Rabbanim, to make the testimony of 3 women who told me some of the things that go on there, which is a little bit strange, and more than twice as many young men who were there. You know, one of my own children asked me, Tati, why did you go speak to the women? He spoke to the men. Why do you need to speak to the women? I said, because Bina Yeseda Nitna Beisha. And you many, many times have, because I noticed from before. The Avrech is learning in the Kollel. The man is part of it. He's a Talmud. But his wife says, listen, there's something wrong with your rabbi. We have to get out of here. And the most important, amazing thing from everything else, the level of fear that some of these people I spoke to, they're simply afraid. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of, my dear friend? Speak truth, step up truth. And there are people who want to help you. You can come to me. I will do whatever I can to help you. But it's not only me. You know the other people, the other 2 Rosh Yeshivas that are involved. They will help you. They will protect you. They'll put you in the what is called the witness program.
It's called Witness Protection Program. Is that what you're talking about?
Witness protection program. We'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. And there's a business person involved. And there's a this business person, by the way, who lives in Great Neck, and has put in a tremendous amount of hours of research into this whole situation. In any event, I spoke more than I want to. Zev, you're a great guy. You have a great following. I really want to tell you, Ashikoyach, yes, it's true. We bought the time, but the fact that you did sell me the time, it was very brave of you, and I do appreciate it. For those who are listening to my voice, if you need my help, my number, 718-735-0223. Those who want, you can call me and give chizuk too. I take that as well. There is a website. I'm not even so, I think it's ncfje.org is our website. You can find out the work that we're doing, and you can Zivora Shoshana, that's tzedakah. If you want to give to support the work that we do, that's a great thing, a great cause as well. And again, my dear fellas, my dear friends, I wish you a happy, healthy, sweet new year. Begashmius and Beruchnius and Begashmius and Beruchnius Gam Yachad. May you be a year that we really, as we say Yom Kippur, that we wouldn't have to come on to each other for parnasa. That every woman will be able to give birth to healthy children, and we will once again be together with the Kohen Gadol and together with Mashiach in Yerushalayim and HaKodesh. And if I can end it off with, again, to push my books, it's Confessions of a Jewish Cult Buster, or whatever it takes. Some great stories that'll give you greater and inspiration. If you don't know where to get it, and your local bookstore doesn't have it, you can go on Amazon, or you can call our office and order the books. We'll be more than happy to send it to you. And as far as this, my dear friends, once again, nothing would make me happier than you having a Ksiv V'Achsim Tova, and together we can dance together, hopefully very, very soon, with Mashiach, B'mheira V'Yameinu, Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi Shia Hecht of the National Committee for the Furtherance of Jewish Education. He presented stories from his books, and obviously there's the yeshiva in Great Neck where he takes issue with, and we did present both sides last week, and if the other side wants to join us on there, we'll certainly be happy to continue that conversation as well with them. Thank you, Rabbi Shia Hecht, for joining us with the National Committee for the Furtherance of Jewish Education. And we